All right, this is Team 1 for ISM 3314. We are actually doing the credit card payment process. My name is Jose, and I'll be doing the ERD diagram, the objective, and also the class diagram. For the objective diagram, we have the class diagram, entity relations diagram, the flowchart, the JSF files, and SQL script. The execute registration and payment process using transaction data, you would have the JDBC files, update Java Bean, and HTML. The store data in SQL database is project, presentation, finalize Java files, SQL database, update HTML, and project demo. For our design documents, we have our ERD diagram. We have 4 tables here. We have the address table, owner's table, credit card table, and transaction table. On our address table, we actually have a primary key is our ID. We actually have a many-to-many on owner's table, and then we have one-to-many from owner's table to credit card table, and then we have also one-to-many for our transaction table. On every table, we have a primary key and a foreign key. For our owner's table, we have a foreign key for address ID. For the credit card table, we have a owner ID as well. And for the transaction table, we have credit card ID. On our class diagram, for owner's information, we have members, customers' names and last names and birthdays. And we also have functions. And we have the getters and setters constructions that also will lead to the credit card information members. And we also have owner's address information that is basically the customer's address information, which is from city, state, zip, country, and social security number. And then we also have the transactions for members, transactions, dates, and total payments. We have functions, and to verify the account process transactions would actually go to registrar's card. And then from here, we would go to our next slide, which that would be to Jennifer.
Hi, my name is Jennifer, and I will be taking you through the registration process flowchart as well as the credit card payment flowchart. Registration process flowchart starts with takes us to the beginning and the end of data flow. Registration process communicates with the front end, and that's where all the front end validations take place. And the data communicates from the front end to the back end. So the process itself starts with the first name, with the user entering their first name and their last name. And the control we put there is the name has to be larger than 2 characters but less than 50 characters. If it doesn't meet that requirement, it goes back to the first name. The second is date of birth. The date of birth has to meet the format of month, date, year, and if it doesn't meet that format, it goes back to date of birth. Then the user has to enter their social security number, street address, city, and then there's a drop-down menu for state and country. If they don't select a state or country, it gives them an error message and it goes back to the state. They have to enter a zip code, which has to be 5 digits long. If it's not, it goes back to the zip code. Then the user enters credit card number, credit card type, credit card bank, expiration date, state verification code, which is CVV, and rest of the documents, credit card up limit, transaction limit, and all that information is submitted to the middle end. If the credit card is on file, it goes back to the credit card number. If it's not on file, middle end sends that information to the database. That information is stored in data repository. The credit card status is marked good, and that also gets saved in the repository. The card status is confirmed, and the registration process ends there. Next is the payment process flowchart. It starts with the user entering their first name and last name, and similar to the registration process, their name has to be larger than 2 characters but less than 50. The user also enters their street address, city. This process is really similar to the registration process until you get to the middle end verification process, where we have 4 constraints. The user credit card and billing information has to match. Credit card transaction date has to be before the expiration date, and transaction limit has to be smaller than the one-time up limit. And the transaction limit has to be less than the card up-to-date limit. If all that criteria meets, backend receives the information. That information is recorded in the data repository, and the payment is accepted, and that's where the payment process ends.
Hi, my name is Jared. I'm going to be talking about the SQL syntax for our project. So here we have our background SQL syntax for all of our tables. We have our credit card table, our transaction table, our owner table, and our address table. In each of the tables, you can see all of their attributes are declared, and you can see where we declare the primary keys and the foreign keys in each respective table. After that, we move on to our SQL server, which you can see each of our tables outlined right here in the back end, and all of their attributes show up right here. This is what our front page is going to look like whenever a user accesses our site. It's going to pop up with the registration first before it comes up with the payment. You see with our basic CSS, we have a lovely green and white background, and each of them is going to prompt a user to enter their information. So credit card registration will have their name, birthday, email, SSN, phone, address, city, state, country, zip code, credit card number, type, start date, expiration, CVV, their up limit, and their one-time transaction limit. After this is done, it will move on to the payment screen, which you can see here, where it's going to ask for the first name, last name, city, state, and all the other credentials, and then it's going to talk about how much it's going to cost for the payment and make sure that it will line up with your transaction up limit after that.
Hi, my name is Brandon, and this is our front-end registration page. We have used Java web applications with components such as input text boxes and labels to go along with text boxes to register a credit card. Validation errors are displayed when required fields are left empty. There is first and last name, which have validations of a minimum of 2 characters and a maximum of 50 characters. Email has a validation of a minimum of 3 characters, and it also follows a particular pattern. Another validation is user, and it has to select a credit card type from the drop-down menu. It has options of Visa, MasterCard, and American Express.
Okay, my name is Jonathan. I'll be going over the credit card registration bean, and we will be doing a live demo of our registration page. So here's our registration bean, has all of our getters and setters, and at the very bottom we have our register button. So when the user clicks register, it sends them to this method. It'll save the information to these classes, and then that's when our JDBC layer kicks in and sends it all to our database. Here is our database with our tables. We have an address table, a credit card table, owner table, and a transaction table. So we will be looking at the owner table and the address table. We already have some records in there. Now I will do a live demo. So here's our registration page. I will show you what happens when you register and leave all the fields blank. Down at the bottom, all of our front-end validation will kick in, and now I will try to populate it. Now that all the fields are populated, we will hit the register button. The Social Security format is incorrect. We will fix that and send it off. And the record has been saved into our SQL database. And also here is the address table with the correct address for our new customer and our credit card table that shows the information there.
So my name is Sanju Isha, and I'll be going over the credit card payment. This is our front end of the credit card payment registration. You have your first name, which has a validation length of minimum of 2 and a maximum of 50, so as the last name. Your billing address, your city, state, zip, email, which also has validation pattern that a customer has to follow, and a minimum of 3, which is validation length the customer has to follow. Once all this is entered, the customer clicks payment process, which gets sent to the middle end, which consists of variables, which has their getters and setters. Then from there, the information gets pulled from the registration part. As you guys can see, the registration part that Jonathan did earlier, it pulls all the information from there of the customer when they're trying to make a payment, and it tries to validate and to ensure that the payment, the transaction the customer is about to make is success rather than like a fraud. So I'm going to give you a live demonstration of the credit card payment. I'm going to get all the information from the registration part and fill this all information in and make sure it matches before the process takes place. Once the customer has filled all the requirements, they hit process, say error, fix the phone number. Now when they hit process, the information gets sent to the backend transaction table, and it is stored in this transaction table amount of 3,000 of today's date, 2016 11/30, and this transaction is a success because all the information matches in the other 3 tables. This concludes the demonstration of payment process.